Hey, what's up guys? In this video, we're going to take a look at how to get rounded corners with HTML5 and CSS3. In the past, we could only have a 90-degree angle for a corner, but with HTML5 and CSS3, now we can get rounded corners without using a background image. Here I have an empty HTML file with an external style sheet. First, in the HTML file, we need to add a div. This is the div that will give rounded corners. So I'll give it an ID of rounded_corners. In the style sheet, we're going to take the rounded corners div and set the height to 250 pixels. And the width to 250 pixels. Also, I'll set the background color to green. Now, if I refresh the page, I have this green square. The corners are the standard 90-degree angle corners that we're used to. All we need to do to make the corners rounded is set the border radius property of the rounded corners div. Type in border radius 20 pixels. Save and refresh, and we have rounded corners. We can also use percentages instead of pixels when defining the border radius. Let's change 20 pixels to 20%. When using percentages instead of pixels, the percentage is of the div's height or width. So a value of 20% means that the radius begins 20% of the entire width of the div in from the corner. If you want to set the border radius of just one corner, you can do that with the border top left radius property. Replace border radius with border top left radius. Save and refresh, and now just the top left corner is rounded. You can do the same with border top right radius. I'll set that to 100 pixels. For the bottom right corner, we use border bottom right radius. We'll set that to 20 pixels. And border bottom left radius, which we'll set to 10 pixels. As you can see, each corner is rounded. The top left by 20%, the top right by 100 pixels, the bottom right by 20 pixels, and the bottom left by 10 pixels. Now, when we set the value of a border radius, we pass in the pixels or the percentage of the radius we want. But there's an optional second parameter that we can set. When we pass in one value, say of 100 pixels, we are defining two values, the horizontal and vertical radii, at the same time. If we start from the upper left corner of the div and the horizontal radii is 100 pixels, the radius begins 100 pixels over from the top left corner. Since there's only one value passed in, 100 pixels, the vertical radii is also 100 pixels down from the top left corner. The radius begins 100 pixels down on the left border and curves to 100 pixels in on the top border. By passing in a second value, we can specify the length of the vertical radii. So let's set the vertical radii to 50 pixels. Refresh the page and you can see that the radius begins half as far down on the left border. Of course, both of these can also be set using pixels and percentages. There's also a shorthand way of entering values in each of these four properties using just the border radius property. Let's get rid of all these and replace it with border radius, 30 pixels, 25 pixels, 20 pixels, and 15 pixels. This sets the values starting with the top left corner, the top right, the bottom right, and then the bottom left. Refresh the page and you'll see the largest radius, 30 pixels, is in the top left corner, and they get smaller each corner until the bottom left, where it's 15 pixels. Lastly, we can set the vertical radii as well from this shorthand method. Just add a slash and then 20 pixels, 15 pixels, 10 pixels, and 5 pixels. This sets the vertical radii starting from the top left, going clockwise until the bottom left. As you can see, the vertical radii have all gotten 5 pixels shorter than the horizontal radii. Thanks for watching. Please rate and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.